Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the presence of greatness. I am very happy to report that Paul has crossed a new milestone in his life, and he's now a Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Grandmaster Wizard or something.
Yeah, close. I should go back and check and see how long it took me to do it on the previous game. I bet it was similar time frame.
Can you tell the children at home what you've done?
I have very little understanding what this means, but it's I think after the 11th prestige, you just they stop prestiging you, and then you just level up from there. So I can't. Well, I guess I could go back and reset everything. I don't know why I would do that.
Oh, well, we can put this notch this on the belt of meaningless achievements in your
just
life.
Love of the game from here on out. Before
Yeah.
it was about milestones.
Yeah.
Or something.
So, Paul, before we dive into your maybe we won't, but whatever, your old pictures got me in the mood to dig up some old pictures. So my daughter requested that I show everyone our kitchen can be purple or pink or whatever color this is. I actually found the pictures that we had before our renovation that we did when we moved in.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, that's the whatever. So this is what our kind of kitchen looks like now. This was our kitchen when we moved in.
That is old timey.
Yeah,
it looks like a
wife,
kind of a circa 70s.
Yeah, it worked.
Cooktop.
Everything was functional. This was like halfway through cleaning out the kitchen. I didn't put all the pictures, but this wall right back here, this wall, we took out, and there was a small room on the other side, which this is roughly the same angle.
Yep. Yeah, so you moved the cooktop over to the right.
Yep.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Go back to the old one again?
I'm trying, but apparently.
Well, it was the sink under a window in the old one?
Yes, so the sink, this sink was under this window.
Okay, yeah.
For perspective. Why can't I pull up that other image now?
Because Miracast.
I don't even think this is Miracast anymore. This is whatever.
Let's just blame everything on Miracast. It's easy.
Yeah. And for other perspective, so that wall that I pointed to in the first image was right here on this line. So this outlet I put explicitly right where that old wall used to be, and why can't
Nice.
I? Well, if halfway through the show, this images behind me start freaking out. That's yeah. So that was the old kitchen when we moved in, which was almost 10 years ago, which was kind of nuts to think about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I it's nothing to do with anything, but I mean, I think about this stuff because I just my wife and I were engaged 30 years ago this month. And
Wow.
yeah, so we waited 10 years to have a child. Not quite 10 years, actually. He was born in 98, so actually it was only like 7 years. But, the amount of time that's passed since then is like double the amount of time that passed before then. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a weird thing to consider. My son's going to turn 21 this April.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. It's time. I don't know, time goes by monotonously slow until you look back and you're like, crap, where did it all go? It just kind of flies by.
Yeah, just think of all those hours you played Call of Duty, and then wow, they're just gone.
I believe in doing those things that spark joy, Brad, and I hear what you're saying. I'm not doing them to the detriment of spending time with my family or whatever. And if honestly, as far as like playing Call of Duty goes for me, it's kind of the perfect thing as a writer because it's a quick in, quick out kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And if I just need to get out some aggression or just kind of think, the other thing, everyone works differently. So this certainly is not like life advice for anyone. But anyone knows, I'm sure, just if you go out for a walk or something, or you'll be in the shower or you're in some kind of a random place or wherever, and ideas kind of pop into your head, or the answer to some question that you were sitting here in front of the computer desperately needing because you had to write it down. In my case, these things pop up at odd times. And when I play video games, I kind of do it between writing. I never do it in the morning. I mean, I block off the first 3 hours as kind of what I call deep work, and then I play games at various times throughout the day after that. But it's in between things. And if there's work to be done, work occurs. I mean, I do it. I was scanning all weekend. I was playing games while scanning, and it's like a thing you can kind of bop in and out of, and it's kind of nice on a note. But I literally, and I just did this over the weekend. I kind of caught myself. I was sort of aware that I was doing it. I work through words in my head. And then, and I'll have, I don't know if you wouldn't experience this in a game like PUBG because it's just, I don't know how I don't think it happens there, but like I'll stop playing and turn back to the computer because it's like, oh crap, that's it.
Yeah.
Or I get the proper thing, something. And it's, and I'll just drop out of games entirely. But a lot of times, like in the hardcore game that I play, where you can kill people in your own team, like people will just randomly start killing me because my guy's just like, just stopped playing, and they're like, what a jerk, thanks.
Sure.
But it's just I don't know. It's just something, it dates back to the very first writing I ever did with the guy who got me into this. He used video games as kind of a reward, for writing accomplished.
Yeah. Unlike Paul, I used video games to hide from my family.
Okay. Yeah.
But there was some sizable news this weekend, and it's actually on the iOS side. It came out because of a beta that came out, or it's not necessarily a leak, but somebody cracked open what was in the latest, I believe, iOS 12.1 or something around their beta, is that Apple is going pretty aggressively, it looks like, into the PWA format. And Paul, I think you might know a few things about PWAs.
Yeah, I mean, there have been subtle moves in this direction for a long time. Apple, unlike the other platform makers, Microsoft and Google primarily, has not been super explicit about its love of or support of PWA. However, they have been adhering to various PWA specs in Safari, and every release, you can kind of see it moving down that path. And, for people who had kind of questioned the PWA revolution, which, by the way, is absolutely happening more slowly than I thought it would, for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But the one thing I always said about iOS, because Apple is kind of the holdouts there, or at least the non-committals, I would say to people, you don't really need to worry about this too much, because in places where there is a PWA available, just like any other website, you can pin that thing to your home screen, right? And you can still access it. So yeah, you may not take advantage of certain PWA features because there's no kind of system for making it like an app that the system recognizes as an app. But there's no tremendous downside in many cases either. And so as long assuming don't mind using Safari, I guess. So this makes it seem like they are moving much more explicitly in that direction. Knowing Apple, we're not going to hear anything about this until June, right, when they have their development conference. But this is a good indication that they're heading in the right direction finally. And they're Apple; they do things slowly.
Mm-hmm. But it's good for everybody.
Yeah,
it's good for everybody. Oh gosh, this computer is doing some funky things. You were
stuck on that. We're going to be seeing that same photo tomorrow. Is that what you're saying?
I can't get back to that. I've actually disconnected the display, and here we are. Maybe just all wireless technology is bad.
Yep.
How was
there was another Apple? I'm sorry.
How was your photo scanner, by the way? Did it live up to
it's
your
good.
dreams?
Yeah. Oh, so I should say I gotta correct the article. I overstated the number of photos that I scanned when I first got it, because the majority of them, it was creating double versions of each photo, because I wanted to test the functionality where it creates the original, but then it can do auto enhancements like correct red eye, color, etc. And after scanning hundreds of photos, I finally, and comparing them one by one, I was like, you know what? I'm going to let this thing auto enhance. It looks great, looks better. It's fine. So I had said, that in 2.5 hours, I scanned 950 photos. It was actually a little over 500 photos. So it's still a tremendous pace, And then this weekend, I made I took some big steps to kind of, I don't think I showed these photos, but I took pictures in the cellar of not just the photo boxes, which was kind of, the point of this thing, but there's also the other side of the cellar, which is like this 20-foot expanse of just boxes from like computers and things like that. I took time this weekend to both go through all of the photo boxes, and I actually brought it all up to my office. Actually, and this morning I just put it up on a shelving thing. So it's organized. It's there so I can see it, and I'm going to take care of it. But that kind of cleared out a nice chunk of the cellar. But I also, and this benefits you, by the way.
Go on.
Yep. I went through all of those boxes of all the computers and stuff. And it's kind of interesting because in a lot of cases, like a computer, it comes in a box, whatever the box is, but that box is in a box, right?
Yeah.
And there's either packing material or whatever it is to protect the box from the outside world. So I removed all of the exterior boxes and I broke them all down, and they'll go out in the trash tomorrow. I organized everything so that everything that was just an empty box, that was something that is in my house, that I own, is in one area. And then stuff that's review units, because I still have some, a bunch of things actually sitting around that has to go back at some point. I put those aside separately. And in the process of doing this, by the way, thank God, so I haven't sent your mixed reality thing yet, but I found the cabling that's necessary for that thing to work. So if I had sent
that
it,
is important.
yeah, so I've got that all out. I'm going to try to do that this afternoon. I have to go out on another errand today for whatever, it doesn't matter. But I want to ship that. I told you about the Xbox stuff I'm shipping to friends of mine. I found 2 more Xbox 360s, and it's embarrassing. I know. I have so much crap in myself.
Some people stockpile for, no food, no water. Paul stockpiles for gaming outages.
I mean, I don't remember the numbers anymore, but remember the original white Xbox 360 was the Red Ring of Death version. It was a serious problem. I believe that over the course of, this is off the top of my head, so it could be a little off, but over the course of 3 different physical Xbox 360s, I sent them back to have the Red Ring of Death fixed, I believe 8 times. And I actually do. I do. I have one white one. I have I guess it would be called the second generation. It's black and it has kind of a silver border on it, which is probably in good shape. It's fine. That's the one. Those are the 2 I just found. And then the third one, the one that I have up here somewhere that I'm going to ship, it's all ready to go, it's not like the E version, which was the last one. I don't think I ever bought that. It was like I think it's an S or whatever. It's like a smaller black one, whatever. But anyway, but as far as photos, like I went through one album on Sunday just to see what that would look like. And I don't know off the top of my head how many photos that was, but let's say 100, some 200-300, whatever. And I thought to myself, I can't do this every day. Like I'm not going to do an album today. And I do want to maintain it, but I want to be, but I figure if I could do like one or maybe even 2 a week, which would be amazing. I mean, I can't really see, the screen's too huge, but I have a dozen or 15 of these things. I mean, it's like and then I have loose photos still. I mean, there's a ton of that, but I don't know, like it seems like this is something I will actually finish now, like I can kind of see it.
There is a light.
And as I upload these things to my Google Photos, so far is what I've done. I got to get them up in OneDrive, but they're all tagged correctly, everything. Like you can see like the timeline filling out, like, you can see the date over on the right. Like there used to be these huge gaps, and now it's like, there's still some gaps. I mean, obviously, but it's kind of coming together. So
yeah,
for people, just to bring it home to something that anyone would care about, or people listening to this might care about. I have like, and I'll have more of them in the future. I told you about like the receipts I have for like computer purchases and stuff. I have photos of like my old computers, some of them. I have like the Apple II GS I had in the late 80s. I have somewhere else. I have pictures of the Amigas I've owned, but I haven't scanned those today or, recently, but I have the boxes. You can see the stuff I had like from when we moved. I have a couple of the computer setups I had in Phoenix, including possibly that one that was $2,800. I mean, based on the date, I'm going to be able to figure out which one it is. Yeah. I'm dying to see what this thing looks like, because I can't even imagine. I still don't understand how I spent that much money, but anyway, it's been an interesting, it's still time consuming, but this thing is better for sure than doing the flatbed thing.
Well, good. I'm happy that your toy is working out as expected. It is a productive and adventure, and
I wish I had. The one thing I did wrong is like my older photos were in nice photo albums, and eventually I couldn't find them anymore, and so I use those kinds where you kind of peel up the plastic cover and you put them on the paper, which has some kind of a sticky thing on it, and then you put the plastic back down on it, and that stuff, it gets old. The glue kind of falls apart a little bit, but there's still like it won't feed cleanly through the thing. Like I can't just put a stack of photos on there and I have to kind of touch it, and it's a little better than doing one at a time, but it's and it's still faster and it still does a bunch of stuff that I really like. But unfortunately, like the mass majority of what I have left is like that kind of sticky back I'm gonna have to clean this thing a bunch of times. Keep the glue out of there, or whatever. But anyway, so far so good.
Well, good. Good. I got nothing else. It's Monday. There's not a lot going on
No.
Monday mornings. But you got anything else for today, Paul?
Just a couple of Apple things. There was another Apple, people pulling apart a beta build. They found some new iPads are coming this year, and a new iPod Touch, by the way, which is kind of interesting.
iPod. Ooh.
Yeah. So the iPads are expected to be a new full-size iPad, like the 9.7 inch, and then a iPad Mini, which I'm personally looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll swap out the thing. I just bought a big iPad, but it's hard. It's just a little too big. I like the smaller one. The other one was this is just kind of related to Apple. There's a guy, his name's Cal Newport. I'm convinced he's like stealing ideas from me, dude. Like he does, like he wrote a book called Deep Work, which is the term I use for that block of time I block off on my Cal. He wrote a book about it. And he takes credit for the term. Like he says he invented the term. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. But he is writing now a new book about digital minimalism. And of course, because he's able to market himself well, he got to do an editorial in the New York Times. And that editorial claims that the iPhone of today is not something that Steve Jobs would recognize, which is actually complete bullshit because he's saying like when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, like it was like only Apple apps. It was like a minimalist experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's, how he envisioned the iPhone. And it's like, yeah, that is how he envisioned the iPhone in 1997. In 1998, he envisioned one full of apps. And then he spent the rest of his life, the next 4 years, whatever, bragging about how many apps there were and how much money Apple paid to app developers. I mean, Steve Jobs would have run into the same issue we're running in today. I think knowing Steve Jobs, he might have jumped on the digital well-being thing a little quicker than Tim Cook or whatever, but doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a rewriting of history to say that Steve Jobs, never wanted this or whatever. He very much wanted this. That said, I mean, there are some interesting ideas around digital minimalism, getting stuff off your phones and stuff. And if anyone read the stuff I wrote over the holidays about these are the apps I use, these are the services, they'll know, for example, that all the apps I use on my iPad, for example, fit on a single home screen. There's only like 8 or 10 of them. I mean, I use it for reading. And when I travel, which I haven't done with this device yet, by the way, I'll use it for watching movies on a plane or something. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't put a bunch of extraneous crap on there. I do things on my phones to minimize the notifications for sure. I'm a review phone, so I often have a few extra phones lying around. I put them all in do not disturb mode. I don't want that cacophony of sounds going off everywhere in my life. Anyways, there's some good ideas there. He didn't invent any of them, but he is popularizing it, and that's cool. I mean, that's fine for him. Oh, look at that.
Well, what the hell just happened?
I think that's the program telling me to shut the hell up.
I wish you could see this.
So do I.
The newest Windows